people, Deluded, I'm back again. In terms of content and just how my day's going, it's going pretty shitty, people. I'm not gonna lie to you. The weather is a madness. I'm not stepping and sitting down. I'm not on it in the rain. The printer at work isn't printing, so I've had to WhatsApp myself my content, people. So it's been a bit, it's been a bit mad. It's been a bit of an inconvenience of sorts. See how I've just stepped out to experiment if the rain's actually stopped, people, and I've just wet up the camera and myself. So that's exactly why. And I've had to WhatsApp myself what I actually want to speak about, people. Yeah, so we might as well speak about them. That pause was me trying to find what I want to speak about. First and foremost, if we ever can get there, people, I really apologise because there's nothing I can do. It's just, you know, when you copy and paste something on WhatsApp, it looks atrocious. Let's start with the Times now. I'm not going to talk about Bukayo Saka's future at Arsenal until some, you know, a proper resolution is found. Every day until he signs that new deal, with the way he's playing, with his potential, obviously, it's gonna always be a tough ask to sign him and bring him into the club and renew his deal and whatnot, folks. But the reality is we're just going to see a lot of nonsense. The Times is reporting apparently Arsenal fear that we're in danger of losing Bukayo Saka if we fail to qualify for Europe, not the Champions League, but Europe in general next year. And I don't know what to make of that. First and foremost, Bukayo Saka, while I don't know him or his family, he's a humble lad. He's not going to run before he can walk. He's what made 28 appearances for Arsenal. I very much doubt someone that comes from a very humble Nigerian background is going to come out here saying this, that and the other. He's going to leave if he doesn't get Europe after he's only 18, made 28 appearances. I think he very much knows how. It's not luck because he's there, because he was given his chance and he's been consistent and obviously ability. But how many teenagers? You've got Greenwood to a degree at United. You've got Martinelli with us also. You've got Highland at Dortmund. SANCHO's playing at Dortmund as well. There's not too many teenagers, if you was to list them off, that are playing regular football, much less considered genuine first team players like Saka. Obviously he's been linked with Liverpool, and if you look at it, he could go and give Robertson some genuine competition. He can learn to potentially take over from Mane on that left hand side, on top of playing for Klopp. What you're trying to do there, but on top of playing for Klopp and the prestige of Liverpool, and he's obviously been linked with Bayern Munich also. These are enough carrots to want to sign for the club, but I don't believe it. And also, even if I just don't get it, because the first thing he needs to do is just play football. He's made 28 appearances. Staying at Arsenal would help him, or go into another club where he could play football, like Dortmund, for example. He needs to get 100 career appearances under his belt, so he's in the best place. Now, again, the rumours are not going to go away until something happens, people. But for what it's worth, the Times has said Saka believes that competing on the European stage has been beneficial for his development and wants to continue testing himself against the continent's best players. And he should. You'll remember the Frankfurt game, but he's also got it domestically as well with his time at Manchester United, playing Manchester United as well. So I don't know what to make of it. Sounds like nonsense, people. It is what it is. 28 appearances, 3 goals, I believe he's got to his name, and I believe he has 8 or 9 assists. I didn't actually write down his assists, but it is what it is. Moving away from that though, people, and I just wanted to highlight, we're in a delicate position as a club, and again, at the risk of beating a dead horse, 2021 decisions have to be made. Now, we don't genuinely, apart from Xhaka and the obvious, I'd say you actually don't know who Arteta favours in his team, because he's spoken of Ozil, he's spoken of Lacazette, but is he using them because he can't do major surgery to the side now? Who knows, people? They're contracted until 2021. You've got Mustafi, who seems to be back into the side, 2021. Socrates, who's just lost his place, the same. David Luiz, the same. Bukayo Saka and Aubameyang. Obviously, Bukayo Saka and Aubameyang, the one that's probably the most alarm bells. And we need to sort that out. We really need to get that sorted out, people. It's difficult. And also, in terms of foresight, we're going to need... In terms of foresight, we're going to need to have ample foresight as a club, people, because renewing deals, holding people down, giving that message of stability are all things we need to do as a football club. You look at people that are contracted until 2022, folks. I think I've got it written down. You've got Lacazette, you've got Matteo Guendouzi, you've got Callum Chambers, you've got Eddie Nketiah. These were the ones of interest to me, because regardless of their opinion or your opinions on them, you look at someone like Callum Chambers, you'd imagine he should be part of the first team because he's earned it, but surely that's a nice little earner to another Premier League club for 20 or so million. Guendouzi, he's turning 21 next year. In a couple of months, I keep thinking it's 2019. he polarizes opinion, but in terms of resale value, tying down his contract gives us a better negotiating position. The same goes for Eddie Nketiah, who I believe is out of contract until 2022, and you'd imagine not before long is in line for a new deal. Whether he can progress and become a regular at Arsenal is another thing, but resale value, another one that should be going for 20 million. Guendouzi should be going for 20 minimum. These are all players that if they are ever decide to sell them, they've got time on their sides in terms of, you know, they've got their, I wouldn't say best years in front of them in Chambers' case, but they've got a number of years in front of them. We need to be thinking about our plans for them from a year or two before. And then obviously you've got 2023, which is obviously of interest to me because you've got Lucas Torreira. When I look at Saka, Martinelli, Leno, Torreira to a degree, these are players who you probably, regardless of their deals, you're looking to improve their deals and tie them down and give the message of potential stability. I mean, 2023 people, you've got Torreira. You'd imagine within the next year he's going to sign an improved deal because he's a cog in our side. You've obviously got Xhaka as well. Xhaka, who will be 29 when his contract expires. The same goes for Leno. You have a difficult decision to make in the coming of years. Who is going to step up from Xhaka when he goes? Because again, I think Xhaka's been playing well, but if we're honest, people don't always see it, but we've got an over-reliance on Xhaka. So in the short, medium term, if Xhaka gets injured or doesn't play, who is going to play? Long term, who's going to take the mantelpiece from Xhaka? The same goes for Leno. Obviously, I'm not saying you need to sign these positions tomorrow, but I'm talking about not just thinking about this season and next, but keep going. You look at Liverpool. When I think of Liverpool and all their achievements, the one word I go back to is stability. Manager, whether he stays or not, new deal. Their new complex, young players coming through, experienced players in the team. And obviously, on top of Liverpool just being a prestigious club and being what they're doing in the league right now, if you're a prospective player want to go there, you're going to be more likely to go there because there's stability. You don't want, who wants, look at couple, even Ceballos, he's come to Arsenal where it looked like it's going to be Emery, and this ain't me criticising us, looks like it's going to be Emery, and he's had two other managers, so we need to start getting stability. Obviously, you have Rob Holding in 2023, which again, in terms of resale value, we signed him for a respectable sum from Bolton. You'd imagine he can recoup some sums, and you're probably looking at it in the next season or two. If he doesn't develop, he could be someone that's moved on. And I'm a big Rob Holding fan. He's had this knee injury and problems, so let's give him time. But this is what I'm talking about, people. We need to start having some real foresight. You've got Reece Nelson as well, who, again, is he going to develop or not? You'd have to look at that. Bellerin would be 26, Torreira would be 26, Holding would be 26 at the time of their contracts expiring. Nelson, if he progresses, will be 2023. Obviously, the 26-year-olds, they've got another big contract or two in their deal, so a decision will have to be made. And I'm keen to see what Arsenal do this summer because we have to make a decision. I don't feel the club can get it right because if they were to sell Saka, I mean, the simple logic is if your contract's running out and you're moving iffy, you should be sold. Clearly, there's an uproar of Saka goals. I think people are resigned to the fact that Aubameyang's going to keep it moving, but the same logic would happen. Listen, I think Luiz should stay. I think Mustafi's form has done all right, and I think Socrates is okay. But I would hardly cry if any of them left. But what message would it send out if all three who are contracted the same length of time departed the club? We need to bring people in. We need to bring people into the club. So we're really going to need to think. And then you've got Bellerin. Bellerin's been here a number of years. I think the right back position is somewhere we need to look at as well. If people aren't going to kick on, I know Maitland-Niles has done it right, and Bellerin, he's had some woeful games, he's had some good games. But at 26, does he want to go and play La Liga? Does he want to still be here? So I hope these sort of things are at the back of our minds. It's not just about now. I guess it's about foresight, man. Because for me, it's about the Torreiras, the Martinellis, the Sakas, players like that are gonna, I assume, are gonna be here for a while. In relation to tactical fouls, and you can already see what Arteta's doing, despite not really being here, our club is only second to Manchester City for tactical fouls this season. We've made 139 fouls from our 1,695 opposition turnovers, and that gives us a rate of 8.2. Arteta took over as our manager, and I'm all sure you've all watched the All or Nothing documentary, in which I haven't finished it, but there's a reference where Arteta, who is obviously at the time working for City, he's gone on and said, this was in the thing, he said, he more or less, you could more or less hear him instructing several players like Gooner and whatnot in the documentary to make tactical fouls, and his actual words were, if there's a transition, make a foul. If you can do it better than Gundo, better than the defenders. And obviously this was in reference to talking about the attacking players, and there was a great emphasis in that documentary on attacking players making the tactical fouls. And obviously how we defend from the front, how we break teams down is going to make the difference, and it's paying off. I say we're looking a tiny bit better defensively. When we have we have a better understanding of how we can stop goals from developing, not just with our defenders but further up the field. It's still happening, but there's less of them goals where I'm sitting here and saying in my reviews, or you're watching Match of the Day and you're saying this striker should have dropped, nobody was tracking this run, sort of thing. So we're making progress of sorts in that regards, people, but it's nowhere near the level we want to see. Moving away from that though, and Santi Cazorla, I'm sure you've all seen emerging reports have come out that Raul Sanllehi, who has a good rapport with his agent, is exploring a possible way to bring him back to the club. Now, possible is very ambiguous. It could be as a player. Difficult to imagine him coming back as a player because it's mid-season. Next season, you don't know what's going to happen. The club is not going to give him anything more than a one-year deal. Obviously, he could come back in a coaching role, but did he not make comments saying he doesn't know he wants to be a coach? He'd prefer to be a sporting director a few months ago. Obviously, that sporting director position isn't vacant at Arsenal, at least at the time of making this vid. So that would be a myth. Could he just come back in pre-season at the Emirates? We have a special Santi Cazorla event. I don't know, Villarreal versus Arsenal. He plays 45 minutes for both sides, because we know Santi never got to really say a goodbye, and he was in his 6 years he was a terrific player. There's a lot of moments he came through. My favourite moment being in the FA Cup final when we needed someone to do some magic. He put in the free kick. In his 6 years he was a terrific player. As much as we could bang on about his tactical abilities, I think he was someone that stood up to be counted. He adapted his football, which shows he's intelligent, because he came here, he played more as a 10 and as a winger of sorts, and then he came more and became more of a deep lying playmaker. Something he said he's done before in his career, but he changed up his game and became vital, and obviously had a fairly decent relationship with Francis Coquelin. I think when you talk about the best players that have played purely in the Emirates era, at the Emirates Stadium, obviously Thierry Henry wasn't at his peak when he returned, but I'm always going to say him because it's Thierry Henry. But I'm looking to Cesc Fabregas off the top of my head. He's a pagan, but I'm going to say Nasri as well. Whatever people say, Mesut Ozil has been one of the best footballers to watch at the Emirates Stadium. And in no particular order, Santi Cazorla is definitely there as well. I mean, if you love football, you love Santi Cazorla. I mean, come on now, I can't find words. Just come on now, people. It's nice to see that we're doing that, and it's nice to hear Santi Cazorla speak about how he's got his joy back playing football again. Obviously playing regular, being over his injuries, and he's also said he has small hope of making the Spain squad for the Euros, and it would be lovely. It would definitely be his last hurrah on the international stage. Obviously, he is a European Championship winner. Did he not get injured when the World Cup was on when they won it? I could be wrong on that, but it must have been a bittersweet feeling. Obviously, the Euros is not the World Cup, but a chance to, win something with Spain, or just represent your nation for the last time in the last hurrah is something they're not going to turn down, sort of thing, people. You see, they're not going to turn it down. And his actual words were, "I wish I can be part of the Gunners' family in the future again. If I'm honest, I don't know if I'm a coach. I'm undecided what I want to do when I retire. Being a sporting director appeals to me more than coaching, but I want to be involved in the game. Whatever feels right for me at the time. I have no plans in the short term to go anywhere or play abroad, but I'm never shutting those doors. I'm focused on ending the season with Real." Clearly, this is me mashing a bit of random quotes together as well. And he's also said, "I value playing more. It's something that I had lost. The feeling of being a professional footballer. After being off the pitch for 2 seasons, I enjoy it a lot more. I have to be realistic and know there's not much time left in my career, so I have to enjoy it while I can. I hope to be part of the squad for the Euros. It's a big challenge for us, but we trust in the new generation of players. It won't be easy to win the Euros, but we are one of the favourites and we must fight for it." So yeah, that's nice to hear. In relation to Vinay, and I don't know the context of these comments, people, but I'm going to speak about them anyways because it kind of talks about our transfer structure. Vinay said, it's more or less the natural order of things. He said, first is to basically select player characteristics. Let me start that again, because let me show you, in fact, man. Look, you can see it's a magnet. Well, I don't even think you saw, but you could see it's all muddled up on my WhatsApp. But I believe Vinaya said, Vinay explained that the natural order of things was to first select the position we'd like to strengthen and the characteristics of the player we would like in that position. We would then identify players against the criteria and positions. This tactical assessment is led by Edu and our internal technical experts, of course heavily involving Mikel. After that, we would assess against our budget and other player needs to determine the preferred players. It's only at that stage we identify the agent of the preferred players, where I will stress that the agent is a key person regarding the final decision on where the player is going. Therefore, it is a competitive advantage to have the strongest relations with agents, and that's nothing new, people. I mean, that's common logic. If you have a good relation with an agent, you're more likely to get the player because he knows what he's about. You've got football is a very simple game. Obviously, that's a natural process. We see what, especially in relation to him being a head coach, people above him, together with Arteta, they identify areas in the short, medium and long term they need to improve, and then the relevant parties do their bit to get things moving. It's not necessarily rocket science, but it does provide insight. And then with stuff like that, for me, while it might not be groundbreaking or record breaking or anything necessarily new, it highlights that Arteta is, while he can have an input, he is a head coach. And like I said at the beginning of this video, we've touched vaguely on contracts. We've just spoken about recruitment. These are things where obviously Mikel has an input in regards to who he wants to sign in new deals, but this is people above him, and there's only so much coaching, so many tactics he will be able to introduce or implement without significant reinvestment. I'm pretty sure. Listen, I do think we have more money than reported, and it depends how you use that. And I'm not a transfer man, but I'm pretty sure I speak for most rational Arsenal fans when we're not calling to spend 300 million. Hell, we know we're not going to. But if Arteta can be helped with some real quality players, if you can do it for 2.5 million, great. But typically, these correlate with paying a bit more for these players. Just go and bring him a centre midfielder of real quality, a creative midfielder of real quality, a centre half of real quality. These sort of areas, let him build, let him give Leno, because I just said as well, we're improving defensively, making tactical fouls, we're doing all of these things. Give Leno a competent back five to be part of, four in defence, five including him. You get what I'm saying? Give Mikel's something so that in August he can say, okay, I've got my striker who's getting 20 league goals. I've got my defence who's going to get me clean sheets. I've got my keeper. I've got this guy who, if Aubameyang or whatever's not at it, he's going to chip in, or he's good for 5 to 10 goals. Do you see what I'm saying? Because that's what Arteta deserves. That's what any manager's dream is. You look in August and you've got more or less a complete squad. You see who's going to score your goals. You see who's going to dig you out of tough moments. You see who's going to keep your clean sheets. You assess your defensive options, and then if everything's there and there's money on the table and we do everything in terms of making these decisions early, if there's a couple more bob to go for a premium player, someone of real quality, typically these tend to be creative players and whatnot. Like for me, I would love, well, Martinelli is my new Alexis Sanchez, but I would love, I don't know how to describe it, but Alexis Sanchez, when we signed him, if we could go back in time and bring him, because I think that them signings there, as much as I love Aubameyang, and I think he is it to a degree, and Martinelli, I think there's it's not a criticism, but I think there's a different sort of, and we're not a long way away from getting these players because we're not in Europe, but I think there's a different sort of buzz when you know there's a special sort of quality player, like a world-class player in your side. Like obviously Liverpool, they do their thing and it's a team effort, but it must be a different feeling when Salah can get you out of the business and all of them other players, Mane, etc. You look at Chelsea and Hazard, how many games that Chelsea have lost or whatever, could Hazard have got them away from? And there are players that can do that at Arsenal, but I think that's one thing that's missing us. Typically to get them sort of move, bruv, pigeon arse nigga. Ooh, sorry people. Apologies for that. Yeah, we just need that difference maker, people. We just need that difference maker, like that real difference maker, and that's only going to come with having a few bob. And in an ideal world, like I said, we make the harsh decisions in relation to recruitment. Who's going to stay? Who's going to go? Okay, players that are going to stay, how are we going to use them? Players that are going to stay, if their contract's still up, let's go and get that one done. If they're not going to get done by a certain date, move them on, sort of thing. You know, bringing, who are we assessing to come in midfield, central midfield, defence, anywhere else that Arteta, because Arteta might even, you don't even know. I'm just assuming as a fan, looking at Arsenal and going week in, week out, where we need to improve. It's stupid, but Arteta might say, oh, I want a goalkeeper. I don't agree with that, but Arteta deserves the right, and the club need to go out there and assess that. They should be, the bulk of the targets should have been scouted and assessed now. We should know who we're going after in January, or who is going to hold the Arsenal shirt for the fans' official signing come July and whatnot. We should be correlating them. Plan A, Plan B, Plan C, Plan D, and the rest of it, in which I hope the club have. You heard Marie was there for a while on the board, essentially, to bring into the club. You heard Suarez was someone they identified. Obviously, I'm a fan, so I know F4 in relation to what the club is trying to do, but I look forward to seeing it. On that note, though, I'm going to keep it moving. Apologies for my French people. One of the pigeons was out. And like I said, it's raining. So, yeah. I need to go and get some lunch because my head is hurting me, people. On top of that, my hand is freezing and my arm is dead, and I can feel myself about to drop the camera. So it's always a pleasure, but I'm going to see you guys in relation to my review of the game later, Arsenal versus Olympiacos. Make sure you're there to check that out. If you ain't checked the preview already, make sure you take that in, and any other content I've got out. DG Nation, DG Gang, I'm out.